My name is Gavriel Sapir. I'm 34 years old, and I was born in Belém, the northern city in the Amazon in Brazil. I happen to be the only person who was born from my family in the northern part of Brazil. And I grew in a family that was allegedly a Christian family. And I went to a Catholic school. I grew up in a Catholic school among nuns and priests, and learning everything about sciences and biology, geography, religious studies like a normal person. I never heard of Judaism. I never heard of Shabbat or Kasherut until I was probably about 18 years old. At that particular point in time, on a Sunday afternoon, sitting next to my grandmother, she asked me, we were watching something on television, and I asked her, why is it that necessarily only us from our family, and especially only me and my brother, are born here in the northern part of Brazil, where no one else from our family is here? And then she told me, sitting next to her in a rocking chair, she says to me, this is because there used to be a priest in the northeast part of Brazil who was a person that used to persecute our family and persecute us, not allowing us to have land or to take away possessions from us or to casting a bad name upon us in society. And we decided to move here to the northern part of Brazil to find a bit more solace. And I said, but what have you done that caused this priest to be persecuting you? And she said, well, my family is Jewish. At that particular point in time, that information didn't mean much to me at all. It is as if today someone says, yes, indeed, I come from a long ancestry of people who come from Russia, but that doesn't necessarily make me today, in this point in time, today Russian. And that was exactly how I felt, that her family had been Jewish, and it had absolutely no meaning and no significance to me. I didn't explore that afterwards. A couple of years later, when I had already gone to medical school, and I was in my fifth year of medical school, attending to a couple of patients into the intensive care unit of the Adventist Hospital in the northern part of Brazil, I met a Jewish patient, an older, elderly Jewish patient, already in ICU, with a kippah shruga, or the name Eliyahu ben David, Eliyahu Israel ben David, Zicharon Tzadik Levracha. And his family was in front of the ICU unit on a regular basis, saying Tehillim and praying for his fast recovery. I, incidentally, was assigned to look after that patient. And when I approached him, he could see my name being Gavriel, and he asked himself, are you Jewish? And this name is an interesting name. And I said, my family was Jewish. And he said, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, I never explored that further, but I just know that the story of my family is associated with Judaism. After many, many days, I saw that patient lose his health and lose his life eventually over the course of those weeks that he was in ICU. One day, and I was very puzzled by the way that he behaved during those last weeks of life. I couldn't understand how someone who had his life going away and losing his power to live and his desire to live, and knowing that he was in such a terminal state, could be someone who could so fervently say Tehillim, someone who could, in bouts of consciousness that he would have, he would say Tehillim, he would ask some of the family members even to try to don Tefillim on him. All of these things were puzzled me very much. But one day I approached him and he did say, Emunah, it is as if there is a spark of fire that once is ignited in your heart, it never goes away. And that stayed with me, A couple of years later, they migrated to, I got a scholarship to come to the University of Oxford, where I had the privilege to meet a Chabad rabbi of the name Eli Brachman. And Rabbi Eli had a lot of patience with me, with all my doubts and my confusion and the difficulty that I had in processing the new piece of information that I had about myself and my own family. It was a very difficult period in my life. In terms of personal identity, who I was, those pieces of information that Eliyahu had left with me before his passing, and all that I had learned about Judaism had stuck onto me, and I didn't know exactly what to make of it. I was a Christian boy, or someone brought up as a Christian, with a puzzled past associated with persecution because my family was Jewish, now learning so many wonderful things about Judaism. I then started learning about the Rambam, about Rashi, about Chumash, Nevi'im, Megillot, and so on and so forth. And after much learning and much puzzling, many years of confusion onto my life, I decided to embrace Judaism. It was only when I approached the Beth Din, when I was ready for conversion, which took a process of approximately 8 years, that I decided to approach the Beth Din and ask to rectify my status, or to clarify that which what my status would to be completely Jewish, halak, and without any doubts. And it was at that point in time that the rabbis appointed me to study with a very well-known Orthodox scholar in the UK, Binyamin Ben Aliza, Zicharon Tzadik Levracha, who passed away 2 weeks ago. And with him, I learned everything that I know about Shabbat, the laws of Shabbat, Kasherut, Tefillah, Brachot, Hagim, Tahara HaMishpacha, and everything else in its full detail. It was with him that I learned that the obedience to the halakha is an all-encompassing, because just as Maimonides says that in Hashem there is no division. There can't be Hashem, His knowledge, or His will. He is one incompletely. He is the knowledge, the knower, and the subject of knowledge all at once. And because of that, the Torah that He gave onto the Jewish people is complete, is unique. It is something that has no division, and it's perfect. And it's exactly with this perfect Torah that we celebrate now on the festival of Shavuot. Zman, Matan, Toratenu. Matan because it's a matana, is a present that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives unto us. It gives unto us to keep, to safeguard. The Torah has kept the Jewish people throughout all these years, and will continue to do so. Israel is not something that exists only now. Israel is Knesset Israel, a concept that means that we lived in the past through our ancestors, through Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. We live in the present, Baruch Hashem, and Bezrat Hashem, with the allowance of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with His blessing, with His brachot over our families, we'll continue to look into the future, because we are Netzach, we are people of eternity, because we, as Jewish people, decided to cleave ourselves with the Torah. And because we cleave ourselves to Torah, we can live forever, because the Torah is also forever. It will exist. It is the blueprint of the world. It formed the world, and it will continue to walk us through up to the very end of the existence of this world, when we ourselves, in Mechayei HaMeitim, we will be the resurrection of the dead, and Mashiach will come to bring the Jewish people together and establish a world of peace, a world of revelation, a world of insight onto all the things that are created and in the things to come. And it's this desire, this necessity to cleave onto that reality that we anticipate and that we look forward to by establishing a world of tzedakah or mishpat, which are exactly the same values that allows us to be cleaving to the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu and the Torah of Eretz Israel. There are 3 moments that I count as being particularly crucial in my life, with the Jewish people. First of all was the time when I appeared before the Beth Din in Yerushalayim, and After that, accepting once again Kabbalah mitzvot and immersing onto the mikveh and assuming my full status, my full halachic status as a Jew. Cleaving myself to Torah, to mitzvot, chukim, mishpatim, and to our wonderful and beautiful Mezorah that will live forever. The second is the remembrance that I have of now armed with that status to walk in onto Ben Gurion Airport and approaching the offices of Mizrad Hapinim and registering myself as an Israeli Jew. I remember that very vividly, walking in and being asked my name, where I was from, and getting my Teudat Zehut and my passport, now being a member of the state of Israel, which is Cheshit Semirat Geluotenu. And the third one was, of course, now being a Jew, being an Israeli Jew, being able to walk under the chuppah that we celebrated in Hamat Rachel in Yerushalayim, with Rabbi David Stav, who then I stood under the chuppah, under the stars, looking to Harei Yehuda, and under the stars, accepting my wife as Mekudeshet Li, Kedat Moshe Israel. Those three moments, the Tevilah, the acceptance of Teudat Zechut with Mizrad Hapinim as an Israeli Jew, and the third one, to be married as a Jew, as an Israeli Jew, in the land that belongs to my forefathers, that fought and desired and cleaved to this land, and that they were promised to this land. And this only shows that we can trust HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that once He makes those promises, He keeps them. And we can have the complete confidence and complete faith, emunah shlema, that everything that He promised unto Israel will be fulfilled. We'll be a strong nation. We will have the confidence that we can continue to live in confidence unto this land, and we can live forever because of our complete cleaving to the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu, to the land of Israel, and to the revelation that HaKadosh Baruch Hu continue to unfold in the blessings that He will continue to bring to this land, to our people, and to our devotion to the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. Chag Sameach lekulam.